In today's topic, we're going to talk about what it actually means to be delusional. And can being delusional help you? So, being delusional, is it beneficial? Is it helpful? Can we actually gain something from delusionment and being fucking out of our minds? Well, we're going to explore that. You have you have healthy delusion and you have toxic delusion. Now, what's the difference between the two? And how does it benefit you or how does one hurt you? A healthy delusion, I'm sure a lot of you understand the law of attraction, but to remind you the mechanics behind the law of attraction, how it actually works, is you have to align yourself with the vibration of the thing that you actually want. So you want a new car, you want a lot of money, you want a lot of friends, you want a new opportunity, a certain opportunity or whatever. You have to align yourself with that idea, and you have to also put yourself in the mindset like you already have it. So you have to be a little very delusional, right? Where you have to act as if I'm already rich or I already have that car, I already have that opportunity, and move as the person, as the version of you that does exist, because everything exists in the here and now all at once, right? We're just on different frequency levels, right? But it all exists in the here and now. So you just got to tap into that frequency, that vibration, that version of you that aligns with that, that's already in that space, that's already reached that goal, already has that car, already gained that amount of money, that's already sitting at the whatever opportunity they was trying to get at, they're already there. You feel me? That's you. You're already there. You're just trying to reach to that state, right? It's about about pretending, right? It's acting. It's like WWE to an extent, right? Now you still keep your realism, right? You know, you still have to pay your bills and you still have to do the things you do, but the way you think, the way you walk, the way you talk, it all aligns with the version of you that already has whatever you say you want to have. So that's the healthy side of delusion. Now, what's the unhealthy? What's the toxic side of delusion? The toxic side of delusion could look like an individual who pretends to be another individual. Living as that individual, but they're not that individual, and they expect other people to acknowledge them as if they're that individual. And the individual could be a dead individual. More times than not, it's an individual who has already passed away, but you have this other individual who's alive now and wants to pretend to be that individual. That's toxic delusion, right? That doesn't lead you anywhere healthy. That makes people think you have a mental illness. You could honestly tarnish your reputation past that, because who you can't be yourself, especially when you go to an extent that you literally completely steal the identity of someone else. You can never go back to being yourself. Like, how the fuck could you, for real, right? So that's toxic delusion. You don't want to do that, right? Where that leads you is an unhealthy space. You get to a point where you don't even know who you are anymore. You lose complete identity of yourself. You lose complete self ownership of yourself, right? And literally, you have to keep up with the lifestyle of an individual that no longer exists because you want to mimic and copy that person's whole likeness, right? That's not healthy. That's not toxic. It's unfortunate that a lot of people do that, but we have individuals on this planet today that do that, right? And so I want to break that down, because you have people who see these type of individuals and they call them delusional. Like, you're delusional, you're delusional, and it's given the idea of being delusional of just tarnishing the whole idea. It's giving it a real bad rep when there is a healthy side to it. There is a positive side to it, and that's my thing, right? It's a very short subject. It's very, I mean, I could dive even deeper into it, but I just wanted to get into the fundamentals of this, the basics of it, right? Because we have to understand the law of polarity exists in everything, right? There's going to be a hot, there's going to be a cold, there's going to be a negative, there's going to be a positive. This is something that is regardless, right? So we breathe in and we exhale, we inhale, right? We breathe in, we breathe out, right? We listen and we also talk. We give and we receive. See, this is the natural flow, the ebb and flow of life, right? So when we think about things like someone is crazy or someone's being delusional, in what way? We have to understand that there's a healthy way of being delusional and then there's an unhealthy way of being delusional. There's a way that it actually benefits you. Now, granted, you say, well, people would say, well, the people who are so delusional to the point where they mimic someone else's likeness, well, they get a lot of followers, they get a lot of gigs, they get a lot of money. See, The physical rewards of life that you get for faking the funk or whatever, that shit is temporary. How many celebrities have you seen who had everything, or even we all, you know, for those of us from the streets, how many plugs do we know from back in the day who had it all, and now where the fuck they at? Lost all that shit, right? And they looking like, damn, for what? Oh, I should have did this, I should have did that. A whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Always ends up coming into space, right? When everything comes tumbling down, London Bridge is gonna fall down eventually. You know what I mean? It's all in due time. You feel me? So when you look at people who attain these riches, or attain wealth, or whatever status by not being themselves in a toxic way, literally giving up their identity, literally sacrificing their moral compass in unique different ways, in a variety of ways, right? And you glorify these people. You're like, man, they got the things that I want, but remember, those things don't last forever. What lasts forever is the mental health, right? Your mental health, right? The healthiness of your mental health and the unhealthiness of your mental health, right? Your well-being, your spiritual well-being, right? How comfortable you are with existing in your own skin, right? The trauma that you have, the realizations that you end up having, right? The coming to real reality, facing reality that ends up happening, right? Now you want to identify yourself. Now you want to be you, be you. You want people to accept you as you, but they'll never accept you as you because all they know is a mask that you've always put on. It's a gimmick that you've always put on. You know what I mean? That is a lot different than someone moving as if they've already gained $1 million, or they've already gained whatever milestone they're seeking to gain, and they're moving in a high positive vibration, right? Because they're aligning their mind, they're aligning their actions, they're aligning their words with the version of themselves that already has the things that they want, right? That's a whole different side of delusionment, and that's a healthy side of being delusional, right? That's the way of being healthy. That's the way of being positive. The other side, regardless of how you want to look at it, you could look at it just for a temporary. You could see the positive side of it for a temporary state, right? For a temporary amount of time, right? But remember, that shit does not last forever. It's just for the moment, and everything is in the moment, yes, but people get caught up in that, thinking that's the reality and that's their life, and they give their whole being to that kind of identity that's not their identity. You know what I'm saying? And they got to deal with that in the aftermath of that, and it's not very good on one's mental health and one's spiritual well-being. I'm trying to tell you this, right? So you understand now, right? Positive side of being delusional, and there's a negative side of being delusional. You choose, but at least you know the balance. And that was the point of all this, man. I just wanted to. It's just things that I'm observing, and that's all this is about. Is talking about the things that I've been observing, things that I've been realizing about life and about the things that's around me, and shit. It's just sharing my opinions, sharing my thoughts, sharing my observations with everybody else. You know what I mean? To see who also resonates or agrees or disagrees. You know what I mean? I love any kind of topic. I mean, any kind of communication. You know what I mean? Because we're all learning from each other, right? Unless it's just too negative that we can't even listen to each other, can't learn from each other. So, but there's a positive and negative to all these things, right? Just be aware of that, be mindful of that shit. Stay true, stay organic, stay you. Hood Scout Loud. Peace. Don't think twice. Don't think twice.